Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm here. Oh, Lord, it's been a day. What a day, what a day, what a day. Anyway, first off, I gotta tell you, I've been busy. That's for sure. I've been busy today. Main thing is, I went to help my family out today. We had to go to the food pantry. And, had a little bit of spiritual warfare I had to go through at the food pantry today. It turned out alright. But it was exactly what it was. It was some spiritual warfare that went on. It was a mess. We had to wait 2 hours in line up there at our food pantry. All these people, it was a long line, and a lot of people waited in line up there for a long time today. That was just one of them that was happening there. I know there was I think there was one or two more, I'm not sure, that was in town today, but the one we was at, there was a lot of people there. And I want to thank that food pantry, the ministry that did that food pantry. God bless y'all. Every one of them that does these pantries, and you know they're a blessing. That they're able to do what they can do. But you know, I know that some people, there's no shame in anybody going to a food pantry. I want to get that straight first. Nobody should be ashamed. If they really need food and they're at a food pantry, they should not ever feel ashamed that they're going to get food. Number one. So, number two, as a minister and in the church, I know that when we run a food pantry at our church, the main thing that we do is we have to get the word out. And that means advertising that the pantry is actually happening. And as a minister and as a church, it doesn't matter what ministry that is operating the food pantry. As a minister, you're going to want to help and assist that ministry as well as any other ministry. Because we're all one church. As a minister, that is our attitude. That should be our attitude. That we are all one church. And we should want to assist other ministries in their work. And they should want to assist us in our work. So that's the main thing, number one. That is the attitude that I go into every day with. And today I was there trying to help my family. And I would have gladly volunteered at that food pantry to help if they would have needed the help in any other capacity. Just as I would have at my church. But the one thing that I looked for that I could do, that I thought that I could help in some capacity, was to take a photograph of front of a building where there was a sign that said food pantry and the date and the time on it, and post it on a page on Facebook so that others could find the help that they need. That was the heart that I had when I snapped a picture with my phone. To help, not to hurt. I was standing in the street when I snapped the picture. I'm hearing impaired and I cannot hear very well. But there was a lady that was standing beside me and asked me how I was doing, and I said, I'm fine, how are you? And she said, I'm fine, how are you? And I said, I'm fine, how are you? And she said, I'm fine, how are you? And I said, I'm fine, how are you? And she said, I'm fine, how are you? And I 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 said, I'm fine, how And we were standing there, and then all of a sudden someone calls out something across the street. This lady tells me, she's asking you, why are you taking pictures? So I walk across the street, so that I am face to face with this other lady that's trying to talk to me, that's asking me why I'm taking pictures. I'm standing there in front of this lady and another lady, and who is sitting right beside the sign that I took a picture of, but they were not seen because they were hidden by the sign. They were not in the photograph. And she asked me why I'm taking pictures, and I say I'm taking pictures to inform people that need help where they can come to get help. And I get an attitude that you're not supposed to be taking pictures. You don't need to be taking pictures. At this point, I'm under the impression that this person possibly may be affiliated with this ministry because of her seemingly authoritative demeanor of being the boss of this operation. So that's when I ask her, are you affiliated with this ministry? And I did not get an answer. All I got was, you don't need to be taking pictures. In a very rude manner. And dismissive of my question that I just asked a simple question, are you affiliated with this ministry? I wanted to clarify who I was speaking with. And she then proceeds to stand up. After I asked her again, I said, are you a member of a church? Are you a member of this church? Is this a church that is doing this food pantry? And are you a member of this church? I said, are you a member or a minister or a member of this church of the Lord Jesus Christ? She stands up and gets in my face and tells me to get out of her face. So then that's when I turned and I asked the other people, did they know if she is affiliated with this ministry? And they say no. That I need to go inside and ask the people that's there. And so that's what I do. I went inside and I asked these people, was there something wrong with me taking pictures? Who was the church that was leading this ministry or anything? Was it them that was saying that I couldn't take pictures? I was trying to get this clarified of what was going on with this whole picture issue. I was not, at this point, realizing that there was a possibility that this lady was just not wanting me to take her picture. She was not in the picture, though, because she wasn't in the picture. So I was like, confused at this point as who was telling me not to take pictures. So I clarified with this ministry that they were not, this had nothing to do with them. And that's when I walked back outside. At this point, it came to my realization because the Lord told me, so maybe this lady is embarrassed or ashamed or something that she's not wanting her picture taken. I don't know. But if that's a possibility, it was not my intention to hurt her in any way. And she wasn't in the picture anyway. So I wanted to let her know that she was not in a picture that was going to be posted or anything. So I walk outside to calmly apologize to her if I offended her in some way by my authoritative attitude because I told her I was a minister and I was wanting to know if she was part of the ministry, because as a minister it was upsetting that I was thinking that I was possibly talking to another minister that was behaving in this manner. And I wanted to apologize to her that I was assumed wrongly that she was a minister, and I used my authority as a minister to admonish another minister. I mean, she was not a minister, and that was what I was trying to apologize to her for. Was that misunderstanding? But I also was trying to let her know that I respected her, and that if she did not want me to post a picture of her, I was not going to post a picture of her. But she was not even in the picture. At this point, she then stands up again and tells me to get out of her face, and not only this time, she grabs my arm and shoves me to the side. And now, I could have said something, I could have done something, I didn't. The next step that I took was that I turned, and I told the people that were standing there, because I thought that there were people that was watching this interaction, and they didn't know what was going on from a distance, and they probably couldn't hear what was going on, but they thought there was two people fighting, because she just grabbed my arm and pushed me to the side. So I had to explain to these people that what was going on is that this was an individual, and this was not part of this ministry, and that this was not representative of this ministry that was doing this food pantry. Because at this point, I realized what this was. And it was a spiritual warfare attack. And the devil was using this lady to try to get me to act out of character. I talked to the apostle about this earlier, and this is what's happening in this season. And it's trying to get us to act out of character, to push our buttons, to get us to do things that we shouldn't do, and act in ways in response to this stuff that we shouldn't do, and to make other ministries look bad, to make not only ourselves as ministers look bad, but make other ministries and the church look bad. This is the point where I'm talking about unity. Especially within the church right now. Because this is what's happening. These people are afraid. And when people are afraid, they're scared, they don't know what's going on. They don't know it, and they're not leaning on the source that they should be leaning on properly. They are acting out of character for themselves. Which possibly, that's what's happened with this lady. I don't know. She opened the door for the devil to be able to use her as a tool today. Any other time, she may not be this way. I have no idea. I don't know the lady. I don't know the woman. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm saying that this woman was in an emotional state that she could not articulate to me and communicate properly to me the reason why she was upset that I took a picture that she assumed, I guess, she was in. But the thing that is really, really telling this whole situation, that it was a spiritual warfare attack directly aimed at me, was the Heat magazine was also later. It was a little bit later than what happened when the incident happened with me. The Heat magazine also was taking pictures. Not only was the Heat magazine taking pictures, but after I had went in and spoke to the leadership of this ministry, the ministry themselves came out and started taking pictures and video of the food pantry. The ironic thing is, the videos and the pictures that were posted by others besides me has this very same person in those videos and pictures, although nothing was said to them. It was a spiritual warfare attack. I knew exactly who I was speaking to as soon as it started to happen, and I did not allow it to escalate beyond the admonishment that I gave because I thought she was a minister, but then I apologized for that fact once I cleared up the issue. But beyond that fact, the only thing that I can say is there's no reason for anybody to ever put a hand on somebody, period. I was speaking to the lady, and I was not yelling at her. I was not cussing her. I was not calling her names. I was not doing anything to her. I was not even close, very close to her when I was trying to apologize when she put her hand on me. So that's the main thing I gotta say. So everyone needs to watch out right now how you're reacting to situations, because the devil is playing, folks, and he's gonna get some of y'all in trouble. I know everybody's scared, but you gotta lean on the Lord. You gotta lean on the Lord. He's the only thing gonna get you through this. And you start doing things that's out of alignment with the Lord, you're gonna be in even worse shape than you're in. We all gotta lean on each other. Everybody there that was there today was trying to get was in the same boat. We're all trying to get some food. And the majority of people there was trying to pull together to help each other out and was willing. They knew what was going on. They knew, and they didn't have attitudes. They were thankful. They were grateful. The majority of people that was there was thankful and grateful that they were getting something. And they didn't want to begrudge that somebody else might need to know. Where they could come and get something. So, the next thing. Tonight's message. Other than that, I had Bible study this evening. I had a wonderful Bible study session with Apostle and Evangelist Alvern and Mother Mitchell. It was just 4 of us tonight, but hey, there were other people who had other things to do tonight, and then they couldn't make it. But we had Bible study tonight, and it was wonderful, and so I know that's part of it too. Today, like Apostle told me that, so there's the devil trying to do that today because you had Bible study tonight. You were leading Bible study tonight, and he wanted to get you frustrated and out around so that you couldn't preach the word tonight. I said, yeah, that's part of it too. So, anyway. And now, I got another message for y'all. But I'm doing this message too. My little message tonight. Let it do every night. And I'm going to keep doing. Because that's what I'm going to do for the devil. Because he ain't getting me down. He ain't getting me in a bind. Again. Ever. There's a lot of people out there that's in bondage still. They bound up. I pray for them. They need deliverance. This city has a demonic stronghold on it. It needs deliverance. That's the truth of it. Lord Jesus, help us. Anyway, I'm telling you, these demons, that's not even going to. We're giving the message tonight. 1 Chronicles 27. David and the stewards of sword and soil. This chapter has a dual focus on military organization and economic administration. It talks about these stewards, which were responsible for, management and accountability. That's what stewards are. They take that, they're supposed to be responsible for managing something or holding others accountable. I was trying to be a steward today. And it focuses on the sword, which is the military aspect of him organizing the military, and which is points to the theme of preparedness and defense. And it points to also this agricultural resource management and wealth that he put in place for these workers of the vineyard and keepers of the flock and stuff like that. So that's where the soil comes in. So this chapter details the administrative and military organization of King David's kingdom, showcasing his commitment to order, preparedness, and effective stewardship. It acts as a roster of key personnel and structures put in place to govern and defend the nation. The author emphasizes David's foresight in organizing the kingdom's resources and leadership even before the temple's final construction, reflecting the overarching theme in Chronicles of the importance of the Davidic line and the temple worship. And the first part of this chapter outlines the 12 monthly military divisions or courses that was established. Had, just like he did the courses of the other groups, the priests, the musicians, and all that. He did the same thing. It's the same order. And this he had 12 commanders who each led a division of 24,000 men. And it was a total of 288,000 professional soldiers. And the division served as on a rotational basis, ensuring constant year-round military readiness and distributing the service burden among the people. This highlights the theme of national defense and strategic foresight in David's rule. Then it goes on to he lists the chief officers or princes who were placed over each of the 12 tribes of Israel, which emphasizes the importance of tribal representation and maintaining the traditional structure of Israel under the unified Davidic monarchy, and highlights the theme of political unity and internal governance. It also provides a note on concerning David's census. It reminds that the counting of the people was incomplete because David was mindful of God's promise to multiply Israel, acknowledging that God alone gives growth to the people, not human accounting. And this serves as a reminder of God's ultimate sovereignty over the nation's strength. And it also references, the census before that, where David disobeyed God. And as I said, one of the censuses was a disobedience, and one of them was a necessary. But David didn't count everything still. So neither one of them was a total census, but as I said, one of them was a temptation from Satan to have him do it before it was God's time to do it, and the other one was a necessary one for this reorganization. But still, he didn't count everything, because he said ultimately the multiplication of the nation was up to God. Then it goes on to list these royal stewards and officials that were in charge of the king's vast physical and financial resources. These were the officials that were appointed over the treasuries, agricultural lands, vineyards, the oil, and the livestock. And it highlights the theme of wise management of God's provision and the importance of earthly affairs being conducted with diligence, order, and accountability. Everything David did was with diligence, order, and accountability in mind. It didn't matter whether it was the organization of the priests, the musicians, the military, the stewards of the treasury, the stewards of the livestock, the stewards of the vineyards, wherever it was. David did everything with the same diligence, order, and mind for accountability. Because David took his responsibility seriously. He believed that others should take their responsibility seriously as well. Finally, the chapter lists David's most trusted personal counselors and advisors, including his uncle and Ahithophel and Hushai and Archite, I guess is how you say it. I'm not sure, but it lists these various people. His uncle's name was Jonathan, and then it lists these other three that were his personal counselors and advisors. And this shows the Ahithophel was one that betrayed him, though. And this shows the value David placed on wisdom, counsel, and strong leadership in his inner circle for effective and godly governance, reinforcing the theme of reliance on wise advice for stability. So he knew that he needed wise counsel. And so he chose these people that he saw that they had wise counsel that could give him advice, and that he wouldn't just have to lean on his own opinions and ideas about things. And that helps with discernment, because God can speak to you through other wise counselors, and that's the importance in the church when we listen to the leadership of a church. And we run about things by them first sometimes, or within the leadership, different leaders, they run things by each other sometimes to make sure that they're hearing the proper word of the Lord being given to them, because He speaks to all of us. He speaks to all the leadership. He should be. If you're in alignment, He's speaking the same. So it's confirmation when you speak to another leader, and the leader, it's the same way on the believer level. I mean, if you're just a believer and you might talk to another believer, and that, they tell you, they confirm what the Spirit's already been speaking to you. It's not just leadership. It's more important in leadership, but in believers in general. I mean, we talk to each other, and the Spirit speaks through other believers to us, and we can be confirmed that we're hearing His voice. And so, this meticulous organization in this chapter, while focusing on David's earthly kingdom, relates profoundly to the broader biblical narrative, as it establishes the Davidic kingdom in its glory and structure. fulfilling the promise of a thriving nation under a faithful king, which relates to the Davidic covenant. And the stability and order created by these divisions and officials were essential for the preparation and subsequent construction of the temple. This chapter shows that faithful and ordered administration in the earthly realm is an act of serving God's greater plan. As far as the gospel, David's perfected kingdom structure foreshadows the perfect internal reign of Jesus Christ, the ultimate Son of David. While David established and organized yet imperfect human structure, Christ's kingdom is one of perfect order, peace, and righteous rule, bringing all things into subjection to him. Ephesians 1:10 tells us that. The various roles mentioned, leaders, stewards, and advisors, serve as a type of the orderly service within Christ's eternal body, where every member has an essential and appointed function. And as it relates to spiritual growth for the believer, this chapter underscores the importance of order, discipline, and stewardship in the Christian life. Just as David organized his kingdom for readiness and effective use of resources, spiritual growth requires the discipline of ordered spiritual practices, prayer, Bible studies, and service, and the faithful stewardship of one's gifts, time, and resources. It reminds us that we are called to be diligent officials and stewards in service of our Heavenly King. As I said, this kind of relates to, what I realized today about this leadership was that we all had a responsibility. And so when I thought I was talking to a minister or someone that was somehow in charge of this ministry's activities today, the Holy Spirit in me told me, if this is this is not the correct, proper way that the minister should react or should behave. I know this in ministry that this is not the proper way, because it would be the proper way for me to react or act. And when I saw that, I wanted to hold this person accountable for their behavior that was outside of what their role should be. But that's when I realized that there was I had to clarify what was going on here. And I did. And when I realized that this was not a minister, this person was just an individual, that there was a misunderstanding, it was a misconstrued. But she didn't want to hear my apology and didn't want to hear my reasoning why I was so adamant that she answer my question, because she was not a minister. You see what I'm saying? She wasn't a minister, so she did not understand the gravity of why I wanted to know if this was a minister that I was speaking to, because I take my responsibility as a minister so important. So I would take that my responsibility, like David took his responsibilities. David seen what his responsibility was. He took it seriously to the Lord. And as ministers, that's what we're supposed to do. And so when we see another minister out around, we're supposed to take we have a responsibility to correct that. We're supposed to admonish each other. But that's where the misunderstanding happened, because she was not I was a minister. She was not a minister. Her reasoning for why she was reacting and acting the way she was a total different reason why I was reacting and acting the way I was. We had two different ideologies at play there. I still don't 100% understand her reasoning, because she could not explain her reasoning to me. I attempted to explain my reasoning to her, but she didn't want to hear it. So in that instance, all I could do was let it go and pray for her. And that's exactly what I did. After I apologized to the people who had to see that spectacle happen, and a couple of people, let it go. And it's like, yeah, there's water on the bridge. Let it go. And I went right back and I stood back in line with my family, and I helped them get their food. And we left. And that was the end of it. The only reason I'm saying anything about it right now is I'm using it as a teaching moment, because it really aligns with responsibility in ministry. It's like I was talking to Apostle. I told Apostle on the way to Bible study tonight, and I told her, it's amazing how these chapters line up with everything. I'll have a day, and it's lining up with the lesson. That's the Lord's work. He's been doing it for months. I don't know the full scale of the reasoning for it, but that's what these videos are all about. This is the Lord's doing, not mine. I'm operating in His will, in His power, in His whatever. He's steering this thing. I'm just a vessel. But I'm gonna keep doing what He asked me to do. But because I am very, very tired from the day that I have had fighting the spiritual warfare and with ministering, tomorrow, as my Bible study lesson was tonight about the Holy Spirit, about replenishing, you have to go back to the source after your ministry, and after you have action and activity in ministry, and after you minister, you have to go back to the source, and you have to get something. You got to receive something from Him. So tomorrow, I'm spending some time with the Lord. I love y'all. I hope y'all do too. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow evening.